Hello everybody, I hope you're well and welcome to the first episode of Creative Crossover. This is a show where I interview somebody working in the creative field and have a conversation with them about what they do, how they do it, and more importantly, why they do it. Before we get into today's show, as this is the first show, I'm still in the infancy, I just want to connect a bit more with you guys. So if you could please find me on Twitter, it's @JackSpedding, that's JackSpedding, and reach out and suggest a few people that you want to see on the show that would really help us grow. Anyway, into today's guest, it's Paddy McGrath, which is Super Logo Boy. So, welcome to Paddy McGrath, Mr. Super Logo Boy. Taking my podcast cherry, you are. Could you just give us a quick introduction about yourself and what you do, please?
Yeah, of course. I'm not really in the habit of taking cherries very often. So, on a day-to-day basis, I sit and watch daytime TV and I make logos for people. That's in a nutshell what I do. I've got American Pickers on mute now, which is pretty standard for the next couple of hours. And I'm going to be, building out a brand for a client over in the States today. But yeah, that's it. I'm a brand guy. I try and just tell people stories, business stories, and simplify it into a symbol. Probably very similar in a way to kind of what you do. We just, the final product is different, but I think we kind of aligned, don't we, because of the getting the soul through, getting the story coming through. I think that's what I try and get done. Yeah,
definitely. First up, we're going to have a little quick fire round. Like I said, quick fire. They don't have to be quick answers, going as deep as you want. Some of them probably are a bit, probably not aligned to your brand guidelines, but we'll go into it anyway. First one, iPhone or Android?
Android recently. I've only just switched.
Yeah, weirdly, I've just switched to Apple, and I've just become a massive Apple fanboy. I've always had Apple, like the Macs and stuff like that, and everyone's like, "Oh, why don't you have the iPhone? Why don't you have the iPhone?" And to me now, it just makes so much sense. Everything's just linked together. But yeah, cool. Next one, Netflix or YouTube?
What do I have to pick?
I
don't know if they're mutually exclusive. If it was one or the other, it's going to be YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. Snap.
Yeah, go free or go home. That was the same as my Android decision. My Android was price-based, and this one would be too. I know there's YouTube Premium, which is perfect for the Cobra Kai thing that's just documentary that's just come out. It's not a documentary. But yeah, money-based decision there. So, YouTube, it definitely is.
Cool. Work hard or play hard? I think I know your answer to this one, but go for it.
Yeah, play hard. Work as hard as you need to get as much as you can. I've got no shame in saying that. I don't believe I hate the hype of like hustle and taking pride in working long hours. I'd rather work smart. So if I give myself the chance to play more, then that for me feels like success. Working hard it's a false badge of honor in my opinion.
Yep, no, cool. Text or call?
Call, definitely. I'm the world's worst responder to text messages. I think that you get me speaking, and if I can hear your voice, things just happen quicker, and you end up kind of digging a bit deeper. If you think if you spend half an hour texting 20 messages back and forth, a 2-minute call is more efficient. So
yeah, again, that's one of the big things I've noticed recently is I've always been not necessarily scared of phoning people, but it's always been like, oh, I'll text them instead. But calls are so much easier. If you've got to call a client, you can sort it out then and there rather than having to sort of wait for an email response or anything like that.
Yeah, but as a caveat, I would say a scheduled call. But when you're in a creative process, even if you're only pretending to be, it's breaking your flow isn't a good thing. So scheduling calls, not just out of the blue. A text to arrange a call is better than a text to sort something out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Love or money?
Love, definitely. Money isn't a huge driver for me. It's just happiness vouchers, really. Love is, you come into this world and all you reach out for is love. And I think at the end, you're not that fussed about money either.
Cool. Book or audiobook?
Audio book, definitely. And I'd say up until the last couple of years, I would have said book. But I think that trying to not multitask, but I think it's there's something about listening to it. It's kind of like, as long as you focus listening and not kind of driving on a treadmill. If I do an audio book, it would be sat in a room as if I was reading. I think the way it absorbs better for me.
Cool. I can't really imagine you on a treadmill, to be honest, Paddy.
I'll not take that as an insult because it's very true. But no, I am recently starting to do a bit of a detox and get healthier. But it's involving walking and just gyms are something that I do enjoy paying for and not using.
Yes,
but it never pulls me in. I never get that. I never want to do a selfie in there, and I don't think there's much else to do, really, is there?
No. Cool. So, what's the best thing that you own?
The best thing that I own? Wow.
Yes.
That's a really good question. I'm going to say it's got to be my MacBook Pro. It kind of allows me to I can watch YouTube on it. I can make money on it. I can talk to people. It's the most efficient product that I've got. I don't like to say that I own my cats. I think that we just cohabit, but it would be my laptop or my cats probably. Cool.
I always remind my dog that I went and paid somebody £300 for him whenever he's misbehaving. I literally own you, but he never really seems to take much notice. So
I literally own you. That I love that.
Yeah. So last quick fire question: what's the best thing that you don't own?
The best. Wow, you're good at these questions, aren't you? The best thing that I don't own would be something that I need right now. Would be probably a car, but me and Sophie are in the process of buying a new one. The one that we've got now is it's a bit of a rolling skip, and it kind of needs an MOT, so we're buying quick. So the best thing that I don't own is just another car, and it's nothing fancy. It's going to be a little Picanto, and it's going to get us around. It's as good as it needs to be.
Cool, nice one. So we first met, I think, was it last year or the year before at the Bolton Creative Meetup?
I think it was the year before.
Was it 2017? Yeah. You're doing a talk there, and something stuck in my mind, which was quite different. That you were quite forward in saying that you've come from quite a corporate role in your past, and then you've gone into more sort of how you are now, which we'll go into a little bit later on. But can you just share us a little bit of that story? Maybe leave out the shitting in the woods bit, but just sort of...
Yeah, of course. Really, the story was about a breakdown. It was like kind of a breakdown of a lot of different things in my life. You could say it was the marriage, you could say it's the way I was working, but it was all down to the decisions I was making. I'd kind of followed the corporate path, like you say, went from junior designer at a small agency in Bolton and stayed there for 10 years, eventually managed the creative team there, but I became more of a manager of people rather than a designer. Yeah. And I thought I hated what I did. And I didn't have the inclination to learn how to become a better manager. You just kind of assume, usually the best person in a team gets the responsibility to manage that team. And I really think that it's another skill, a completely different skill to do the management. Just making your best salesperson head of sales isn't a good idea. Making your best designer head of design is a bad idea. But so many businesses make that mistake because I think it's fear of recruiting something that isn't directly billable. And then I became non-billable and just had so much kind of pressure that didn't excite me that I decided to make a lot of changes in my life. So to kind of cut a long story short, I used a plant spirit medicine called ayahuasca, which is basically a class A psychedelic. And it kind of showed me what I should be getting out of life. And it showed me the decisions I could make that would create more kind of happiness and well-being, rather than just thinking, if you earn this amount of money, if you have this car, this house, and you go on holiday to this place, then you'll be happy. For me, I'd tried that route and was pushed down that route, and it really didn't work. And I wasn't for flogging a dead horse. So I decided to take a risk and focus on what I love doing, which was, at the time, I thought it was logo design, but now it kind of goes beyond that. It's more of a holistic process, talking about brand voice. So the majority of the work that I end up doing is conversations, consultancy, and at the end of that process, then we'll make a little symbol that represents it all. And it was me learning how to be able to convince people to pay enough money to live on for that, because in agency we charge £100 every now and again for a cheap logo, and you can't do any serious work for that amount of money, not if you want to not go bankrupt, so to speak. Yeah. So I learned to kind of sell the ideas that were in my head. I think it's learning to sell ideas rather than the stuff I make, because what I make in Illustrator is really, really simple. It's triangles, squares, circles, and they're very, very simple, the logos I make, but there's meaning there, and the meaning is where the legwork's done. Yeah,
definitely. That's one of the things I picked up on, actually. I was having a look on your website before. One of the favourite things that I saw come out of you last year was your work for Braille Signs UK.
Right.
The first time I looked at it, I'll admit I didn't get it. Like you say, you were expecting dots, etc., etc., and after a few seconds, it clicked that it was the two fingers. Well, hopefully it's the two fingers anyway.
Yeah.
And then it seems like a lot of your work is that it's very, very simple and it looks obviously very visually appealing. But then when you look at it for sort of 5-10 seconds, it starts like cogs start clicking. You start picking up on little things like, oh, this means that. Especially, what's the cleaning company? Is it Mucky Cows?
Yeah, Mucky Cows. That's my personal favourite logo that I've done because it kind of got me together with my my missus Sophie at the minute. It was her cleaning company. I was giving away free logos at the time for people who'd signed up to my newsletter.
All right, okay.
And Sophie won the prize this time. It helped that she was a Bonnie girl, but she won the prize. And she had this terrible idea. She said, I want a cow with like a French maid's outfit on, pushing a Hoover. And I was like, yeah, you might want that, but you're not getting it. I just said, leave it with me. And it took me ages to come up with. And the end result, the end mark is basically a blown up rubber glove, which looks like an udder. So it's an udder and a cleaner's glove. So there's a little hidden meaning there, but I think I try and have a way of seeing that's unexpected. Like the Braille one that you mentioned before, it was like you think Braille, you think dots, but in reality, the blind person thinks touch, isn't it? So they're all about the fingertips. So it's a different way of seeing the same thing. And I think that's what will make things memorable. And I want to get better at doing that. I'm kind of where I can in logo design, I try and get that in. But sometimes the more corporate you go, it's not always the right answer. Sometimes it just needs to be distinctive within a space. So more time spent analysing who they're competing against and how you can make some noise in that marketplace. Sometimes clever isn't the way to go. Sometimes just an obscure use of colour or shape or typography can be the answer.
Cool.
I love it when you get that meaning in, but I have to try and stop myself from wasting hours to try and force it.
Yeah. Could you just talk us, when you were saying there, the amount of hours it took you just to come up with the sort of ideas, can you just talk us through a little bit of your creative process? How does it start? Is it just literally pencil and paper? Are you looking at things on the internet? Where do your ideas come from?
Generally, it starts with the start point is a conversation, and I want to know I need as much help as I can get from the customer. And I don't like the idea of having like a prescribed form to kind of like get the questionnaire done and a written brief. Briefs are important, but I kind of make it for myself because in that way you can't get a shit brief. If you put the pressure of creating a brief on the client, then you're only going to get as good as what they've got in their head.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather say, how do we measure the success of this? So it might be to have some clever in there. It might be to just be bright and eye-catching. But I generally start with like, what should this logo do? I don't care if you like it, if I like it. It's the point of the logo is to do something else. So the start of it really is to measure the defining criteria of how we'll understand if it's successful or not. After that, it's a bit of research into the space. I want to understand what they're selling. So if an accountant isn't selling tax returns, they're selling the idea of paying less tax. They're selling the idea of meeting the criteria that the government set you. So I want to see what people are really selling. Dentists don't sell drills, they sell smiles. So I want to try and understand what is going to be the emotional trigger that'll make someone buy. And then after that, I'm just thinking of what does that picture in my mind? It could just be me sat there looking into space thinking, but generally pencil and paper. None of these fancy designers, £20 Japanese fine line pens. It's just a free biro I've picked up from networking and a to-do list from a local printers and just scribble. And after that, just make shapes in Illustrator. Over the years, you get fast in software. I start on pen and paper, but very quickly transfer to just making actual shapes.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. I've literally got in front of me the pad from the local printers and an IKEA, about 20 IKEA pencils that I nicked at the weekend. So I think we're coming from the same place.
They're content marketing. No one really likes these pens. It just makes you look like you're taking it seriously. Yeah. And perception is what I sell, so I understand it. It's just a case of I don't want to fake that. Some designers have a beautiful setup with like kind of brick walls in front of their iMac and they've got a coaster perfectly aligned. I sit on a couch and probably got the worst posture on the planet because I just hunch over and work where I am. I'm not saying that to kind of boast. It's just that's the reality. So I'm more interested in selling that reality because no one else is in the space I'm in. These logo designers clean and they've all got cool glasses and nice clothes. I know I might have a hipster beard, but it's got a bobble in, and I never brush it. So I look more homeless than hipster, I think.
Yeah, cool. So that actually relates to my next question, actually. One of the opening lines on your website is, in a noisy world filled with shitty, meaningless logos and bland marketing messages, how can you stand out from the crowd? How do you make people notice you and then pay attention to what you've got to say? So super logo boy, how do you make people pay attention to you?
It's really simple. Just be unpredictable. I think that variable reward is something that we look for on social media. You go to Facebook, you see the red dot and you think someone loves me, but more often than not, it's someone celebrating a birthday from school or you can't even remember. Yeah. And it's that little bit of disappointment kind of means that the next time you go and you've been tagged in a picture, it feels good. So like with my Instagram, you're as likely to see a logo I'm working on as you are to see like Sophie shaking her knockers. So it's the variable reward, and I'm trying to connect with the soul. I'm not trying to pretend to be anything else. I'll post a screenshot of me on the front row of watching Jeremy Kyle live. I'll post things.
I've seen that post this morning, actually.
I'll try and share an idea with it as well. So it might not be quite as polished yet as a Gary Vee, a Chris Brogan, or one of these big thinkers. They've got like a message that they're known for. I think what I'm trying to work towards is the freak mindset. Do something a bit different. Don't chase the likes. Like I've purposefully locked my Instagram to stop me using hashtags to get the cheap likes from bots that don't mean anything. I'm paying attention to who's paying attention to me. Yeah. So it's like if you're showing an interest in what I'm doing, I'm more likely to kind of pay attention when I see your stuff, and it's going to be that reciprocity, and it's small numbers, one at a time. I don't care about followers and likes and all that stuff. It's comments, conversations. That's really what I'm trying to drive. And I think focusing on the small things is the way to do it, and just be a bit unpredictable.
Cool, nice one. So I think I'm right in saying that currently, from our last conversation, a lot of your work comes from overseas. There's a lot from America.
I tend not to attract that much local stuff. I have done over the last couple of months, had a few leads and referrals, but I use like LinkedIn as my like kind of fishing pool, so to speak.
Yep.
And there's a little strategy that me and Sophie use where it's nothing too complicated. She just searches for people looking for rebrands and logos and tags my name, and I reach out and just say, let's talk. I want to know what you're trying to achieve. I'm not trying to say anything else. Say, have a look at my website. If you like what you see, let's see where we're both at. And that, I think more people in the States specifically are looking to almost wear their logo designer like you would a fashion brand. Like I've got one client who says that, yeah, Paddy's from London. And I'm like, I don't want to dispel that myth. I met her in London at a show, but she thinks she's got a cool designer from London. And by American standards, the distance I'm away, we're practically in a suburb, aren't we?
Yeah. No, that's funny. That's a good way of pitching yourself, actually, because I think by just putting yourself out there, that probably attracts the right kind of client, doesn't it? If you're going out there cold calling everybody, if you just put your work there and they sort of come to you, you know almost 50-50, well, more than 50-50, don't you? That your clients are the kind of clients that you want to work with, aren't they?
Exactly. And then you end up getting referrals. Good work attracts new clients. And that's what I try and do. I try and put out the best idea I've got for a certain problem. And it's the commitment to kind of quality. Eventually, over time, good work will bring in more of the same. It's the mistake I made in agency, which was partially my mistake, partially theirs. We complained that we had crap clients, but we only demonstrated in our portfolio that we worked with crap clients. So It's more of attraction. You kind of reap what you sow. Now I'm more happy to say, no, I don't think we're a good fit, rather than just put some money in the bank to create something that's not going to serve either of us, the client or myself.
Yeah, cool. So nearly there. What's the one piece of advice from your work that you would give to other people to chase their passion?
Depending what the passion is, it's a case of just the one piece of advice is there's no shortcuts. Just get really good at it. Don't kind of look for some kind of sales funnel. Don't look for any kind of hack. Don't reiterate the old cliches of like kind of love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. Just get really good at something because you want to spend time doing it. Like the cream will rise to the top. Everyone's battling to be the cheapest. If you're going to do something, don't fake it. Just get really damn good at it, or as good as you can.
Perfect. Great advice. Lastly, where can people find you online? I know you mentioned your Instagram there that was locked, but is there a space that people can go and find you and look at your work?
Definitely. Like, my website's the place to go and look, which is superlogoboy.com. But I'd say on socials, my Instagram's locked just so I can see who's coming in. It's to stop bots rather than to stop humans.
Yeah.
And I think not to enter seems a bit more interesting. Maybe you're less likely to unfollow me if you've had to wait 24 hours to get in.
Yeah.
Instagram's probably the place, really. My Twitter's just, it's all over the place, and I use it for fun, really. Every now and again, a bit of work. But go to @superlogoboy on Instagram, and if you look like a human, I'll let you in.
Absolutely perfect. Nice one. Cheers for that, Paddy.
You're welcome. Thanks for the interview, and I feel very honoured to have taken your cherry.
Nice one. Cheers. Bye-bye.
I hope I was gentle.
Ace. Perfect. Cheers for that, dude. That's it for today's episode of Creative Crossover. I really hope you enjoyed me talking to Paddy. I would really recommend you find him on LinkedIn and Instagram. He is really trying to do things a little bit differently, so give him a follow. If you could also leave us a little review on iTunes or wherever you're listening, that just helps us allow to grow the show a little bit more and reach out to more people. It really will make all the difference. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.